Hey everyone, super excited because we are live with Epicor at their annual get together, their annual industry event, Epicor Insights. Vaidya, how are you?
Doing great, Evan. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. You're in the midst of a huge customer partner get together, so I appreciate you taking the time to chat with my audience. Let's start with the basics. Who is Epicor for those who aren't familiar? And tell us about your mission and role in the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Evan, and happy to be here. Thrilled to share all the new announcements and all the great stuff we have going on. But Epicor is an ERP company, which stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. For those of you that are unfamiliar with ERP, it's basically the system of records. So anytime you're in a manufacturing site and you're creating purchase orders, or you're making supply chain decisions, or you're getting stuff done on your factory floor or the top floor, the enterprise resource planning capabilities have always been the core of a lot of the digital core of a lot of companies. And so Epicor is an ERP company that's really focused on the make, move, sell ecosystems. That's the supply chain, the critical supply chain to make, move, and sell goods. So yeah, we've been around for 40 years, but we like to say the best is yet to come here. And we've got some incredible AI announcements that we just announced yesterday.
Well, let's dive right into that. Um, Maybe set the scene. Where are you at the moment? The big event, you had a lot
Yeah,
of news. How would you break down all the different announcements? What were some of the key
yeah,
themes?
absolutely, Evan. And the backdrop is we had roughly 4,500 customers here in Nashville,
Wow.
Tennessee. We announced our Grow AI data platform, which is the industry's first finely tuned make, move, sell, no code, low code data platform to come up with industry insights, deep industry insights at the touch of a button. So that's huge. It also helps these make, move, sell customers create their first machine learning model, right? I think a lot of the folks in our industries, a lot of small and medium-sized businesses, as well as enterprises, are looking to foray into AI, and they needed a world-class industry data platform to build their first, machine learning model. So we came up with that capability. We launched that yesterday. We also announced, other than the Grow Data platform and Grow AI, we announced Prism. So Prism is our conversational AI. So essentially, the idea is with ERP is for the longest time, machines have always had the advantage. You'd always have to go through thousands of screens. So now you can just talk and ask industry questions to the ERP, like, what suppliers are running late? What might happen tomorrow with inventory? Should I be worried about stockouts? Are my distributor partners all running on time? Is there a weather disruption? You can just simply type it in, and it goes into our industry data model, and we can predict things that'll happen in the future. It also has this fluid UX. So basically, the user experience is being driven by questions that people are asking, and not necessarily these set hundreds and hundreds of screens. So I think what
Wow.
we've done with this technology is unlocked, the system of record into system of action for the critical industries.
Wow, that's fascinating. I want to dive into that, but maybe tell us about this journey. You mentioned a 40-year-old company at Epicor. I assume AI wasn't in the picture 40 years ago,
Yeah.
but what's this journey been like for you to integrate AI into your core platform and offer it directly now to customers? What's that been that process like?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, great question. I think historically for 40 years, the advantage that we've gained over that time is our industry data model. So if you think about like manufacturing, we have thousands and thousands of tables, method of manufacturing, 70 million lines of code that are industry specific, right? So the best AI models in the world need the best data, and ERP happens to have the highest quality first party data. So we feel like the 40 years has driven us to this moment of unlocking insights based on data that nobody had. So that's kind of the, where things are. I think that, what we're doing with our Grow Data platform and our AI offerings are essentially empowering the essential worker. We have this idea of what we call cognitive ERP. And cognitive ERP consists of what we call handshakes, which is redefining how, machines conform to humans, right? How you interface with screens and robotics and all that. So that's handshakes. The gears are low code tools so that ERP is easier to use than ever before. And then we have what we call sparks, which are the 10x insights to drive real important supply chain decisions. So the gears, handshakes, and sparks are forming our cognitive ERP vision, which empowers workers, which is, I think, the biggest potential for AI is to really unlock the superpowers so that folks on the factory floor or distribution centers can do the things they love and not sit in an ERP system all day trying to answer questions. So we've got some real powerful customer stories that are coming out of this event of what they can do with our technology. And yeah, it's an exciting time to be part of Epicor and our real vertical depth that's leading to our AI advantage.
Fantastic. Sounds so exciting. Maybe talk about your customer base. Who are they? What sort of industries are they in? They're pretty diverse.
Yeah.
And, how are they sort of leveraging this technology today?
Yeah, absolutely. We have some incredible customers here. These are really customers that make, move, and sell the durable goods and the industry that matters the most to keep the world running. So we've got from electrical distributors to metal fabricators to automotive job shops and automotive manufacturers to large building supply lumber yards. We've got a number of customers that are really driving the economy ahead. And one use case I'll just talk about in terms of this technology that I just discussed and the value of what we're delivering. We work with an F1 company called Visa Cash App RB, and so they Formula One team. They do great, and they actually run Epicor, which means all the parts, the thousands of parts in their car, are built through our Kinetic platform, and basically all the R&D. There's like it's the digital core of what they do, and so what we've done with this technology is allowed their factory floor workers and their folks in IT to be able to ask ERP anything. So things that may take hours or weeks to answer can actually be done in 10 seconds. You can ask questions like, who are my suppliers that I should use to source a part? And it will look at not just costs and things like on-time deliveries, but it'll look at past performances. It'll look at emissions. So the whole idea of bringing the carbon footprint, and it'll tell you based on all these factors, this is the one you should pick, and then it'll automate emails to send them out. So if you want to send thousands and thousands of emails, customize it, take all that data from those emails and turn it into actionable insights. That's the power of what we're doing with Prism. So I think that example that I just gave with Visa Cash App RB, it takes 5 to 10 people months to be able to answer these complex supply chain decisions. And Formula One companies have to go, right? They have to go real fast, not just on the track, but from a supply chain standpoint. So we're giving them these superpowers. We're allowing them to focus on having the best car on the track by giving them these real empowered, insights to make better decisions.
Fantastic opportunity. As CTO and technologist, maybe talk about the challenges of integrating AI into your ERP solutions. What were some of the issues there, and how did you overcome those? It's no small task, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great question, Evan. I think the one thing we didn't have to worry about, and I'll talk about the thing that we had to worry about the most. The one thing we didn't have to worry about was the data itself, because we house the data, right, of anything that happens on the factory floor, or suppliers, or commerce. So the good news is we had this competitive advantage to begin with. But what's really been a challenge is finding ways to drive 10x value with AI. So I think what I mean by that is having built robotics and AI for the last 7 to 10 years, the number one challenge is when people begin to build AI is it ends up being more expensive than you think. It ends up taking longer than you think to finally tune the model, the industry models. And I think that when you build AI, you have to really set a barometer or a bar of 10x value. So that is, the solution has to be 10x better than whatever was done before it. So I think that's an important learning for us of driving significant value. And when you think about AI as pragmatic, and I think the last 50 years AI has been more general, right? And you saw a lot of these horizontal ERP players provide these general insights and models. Now with Gen AI, you can really provide industry insights and industry action. So I think this is a special time in this space. But I would say the constant search for use cases with 10x value is probably the biggest challenge, and I think we see a lot of really good ones. So I'll give a few examples. I mentioned the supply chain example. Another one is product recommendation, that your customers might purchase like a hose and a nozzle, but maybe they need a certain ring, right, to connect the things together. So we can come up with those models and those powerful decision making so that they can anticipate what their customers need before they even know, right? That this idea that you're suggesting bundles and you're suggesting these things. These are things that everyone wants and needs, but no horizontal use case can suffice. It has to be a very industry specific set of use cases. So I think that's kind of the level that we're going at, is to drive 10x, 100x value with AI, and I think we're well on our way with our data model, and I think the Grow AI data platform gives us the tools to be able to drag and drop and create this stuff. So I think all these things are definitely achievable.
Fantastic. What sort of insights or feedback have you gotten from early customers or beta customers
Yeah.
since the AI integration? Anything you can share there and what they're looking at and looking at doing over the next weeks, months, years?
Yeah, that's a great question, Evan. I think I'll use an example for that distribution example for product recommendation. I've had customers tell me that, look, they were able to increase basket size by 10-15%, right? Just by
Mm,
being able to make these recommendations. And that's just, within the first few weeks of getting on and up and running. I've had, the example I gave in the manufacturing, supply chain decision making. It's taking 10 people who worked on a process like this and, allowing them to focus on strategy instead of, sending emails, right? That's in the make, move, sell industries, human capital and reducing friction is the most important aspect of these businesses. It's not necessarily just keeping costs low, but it's making sure your workers are efficient. You're reducing friction. 50% of manufacturing jobs might be unfilled because the tools are not easy to use historically. So when you can make people more powerful, I think that's value in itself. So I think we're getting a lot of feedback that this empowering employees is the right way to go, especially in our industries that we serve. And so that's the early feedback that we're getting.
fantastic. You have lots of customers there on site this week, but also talk about some of the partnerships and alliances, collaborations that you
Yeah,
have. It often takes more than it takes an ecosystem to kind of bring this
absolutely. I mean, I think,
market space together. How do you look at that world of collaboration?
yeah, that's a great point. It takes a village. I think that we like to say it's not just about ecosystems; it's about communities, right? I think a
Mm,
community means it's a tightly, set of people that really try to look out for each other, right? But much like your communities in your home, when someone, I'll use an analogy that like when my trash can gets left out, I'm traveling, someone will put it back, right? So those are the type of relationships, and I think for us, the community begins with the fact that make, move, and sell, the supply chain, right? Like these folks are all working and doing business with each other. So that helps, from a standpoint of our manufacturing customers work with our distribution customers, work with our retail and building supply customers. So that's one angle. But I think the second piece is we have over 170 ISV partners that basically have built upon our industry data model to offer very deep industry specific capabilities. And these go very deep, like a point of sale that works in a lumber yard that has advanced unit of measure, right? So this is a level of partnerships that we have. So we have our ISV ecosystem. We also have an ecosystem of technology providers, right? We work with Microsoft, AWS. That they have some amazing tools as well. Our models, our industry tuned models, can actually work with any large language model. So we're democratize that piece. And then we have a ton of international partners, all over the world, working with us to drive and build our products and implement them in about 50 to 75 countries. So,
wow.
we've got a huge growth, ahead of us, but I think our focus on these core industries is what makes us so attractive.
Fantastic. And, maybe talk big picture a bit. I'm not an expert in the ERP landscape,
Yeah,
although I see here Gartner recognizes you as a leader. Congratulations
thank you.
for that. How do you see the landscape, competition with, big tech giants like SAP and others? And what's kept you nimble
Yeah,
and competitive over the years?
that's a fantastic question. I think, first of all, thank you, Evan. We are in the leader quadrant, which means that we are squarely in the top 5 or 6 companies, ERP companies in the world, where over $1 billion in SaaS, or $1 billion in ARR, right? That's a huge announcement that we made. So, we're growing, very quickly in the markets that we serve. I would say that, the interesting thing that's happening within the landscape is, there's kind of horizontal providers, I would say, that serve 25 verticals and they try to apply the same AI models or capabilities across. Whereas we focus on, going super deep in the sub vertical. So vertical for us is not manufacturing. It's metal fabrication. It's not distribution. It's electrical distribution. It's HVAC distribution. So when, it's not retail, it's hardline. So like we have entire user communities, believe it or not, customer advisory boards that are fastener distribution companies. Like that's its own
Wow.
customer advisory board. So,
Very cool.
we've created a real, and that's why I use the term community purposely is, our customers have created their own community. They all get together and talk about fasteners and how to make that world better. And I think that's probably an excellent conversation over a bar. But I don't get invited to those, but that's kind of
Well,
the,
yeah, the riches are in the niches. That's for sure. So
it
yeah,
is,
absolutely.
it is, it's the, and I think the customers love what they do and they challenge us. And so here's an example. we give them 10% of the roadmap in each industry platform. And we say, look, this is yours. You get to decide what you want to build next. Of course, we have to put guardrails in there, but we basically give them the ability to drive what's next. And I haven't seen any other ERP company do that. And then the last thing I'll say is, we have a little bit of the venture capital model in terms of engineering. What we do is we have a fully deployed engineering model, which means whether it's that Visa Cash App RB or distributor in AI, we actually deploy engineers at our customer sites. And then they don't leave until they have a design. That's not to say we keep them captive. That's to say they are focused, and they are focused on value generation and value creation. And I think, Epicor has engineers that, were practitioners, right, of welding, manufacturers and things like that. So it's not hard for us to get them to go back in and have a real business conversation around value with our customers. And when you can get engineers who build AI from first principles, and that's a very special community that we have. So we do engineering a little bit differently in terms of innovation. So those are just some examples.
That sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
If I can talk about your personal professional journey. How did you come into the current role, and what was that like?
Yeah, Evan, I will say that I've had a very zigzag, trajectory. Some people call me crazy. Maybe you can judge me after I tell you my story, Evan. So I started, designing satellites. That was my first job.
Wow.
Patriot missile defense system. I built one of the first space-based processors. So I worked in the defense industry for about 8 to 10 years. And then I was at another large ERP company for 6 or 7 years as they moved to the cloud. And for the last 3 or 4 years before joining Epicor, I actually worked for some AI startups. Actually, one of the companies was the largest fleet of autonomous robots in the U.S. in a consumer-facing setting. So we went from 0 to 1,000 robots, running.
I know those robots well. My son's college campus. So
there you
go. Great company.
Yeah, and then Evan, you've nailed it. I already know that. So, and then Gecko Robotics is another company that I was part of, which they're doing some amazing work on inspection robots that can inspect corrosion instead of having people on ultrasonic on rope screws. So I took some of the learnings from robotics and AI, and the benefit is all the companies I've ever been part of, they've always dreamed to have the data that Epicor has, and so that made me really excited about this industry specific company that had all the building blocks and all the acquisitions that we've done. Roughly 8 in the last 10 quarters. Epicor has really for me been a place, starting out as chief product officer, now chief product and technology officer. I felt like I've kind of done the hardware and software, but one thing that always stood true is I always worked in the industries that drove the economy. So make, move, sell. So that's been a big part of my background of innovating from first principles, and I think we have a great opportunity here.
It sounds like it. So intriguing. So as a technologist, maybe let's talk big picture.
Yeah.
Tough to top all the news and announcements you came out with this week, but how do you see yourself, maybe the industry evolving over the next 2, 3, 5 years?
Yeah.
That's probably the maximum I think we could willing to look out into the future. Yeah. What are you excited about?
Yeah, that's a question I wake up and ask myself every day, which means I'm in the right place when I'm asking myself those questions. So, I think that with B2B SaaS, with SaaS in general, the move to cloud, I think that the digital transformation has not actually, completed. Like, it's the step one of the journey of, being on cloud and releases and all, the benefits of security. But I think with AI, you really get the benefits you were searching for with what was started with cloud. And I think in the last 50 years, from my background in robotics and AI, machines have always had the advantage, right? Like when I was building things with robots and building software, you always have to conform to the robotic interfaces or the syntax. And I think the paradigm shift is now machines have to conform to humans, right? Meaning if I wish to get any answer to any question, if I'm on shop floor and I'm just saying, look, I just, it's my first job out of college. This ERP system has hundreds of screens. Man, this is hard. I would rather, have a system where I could just say like, hey, where was that order shipped the other day? Or, how well did I do on this, non-conformance, testing, or, which supplier should I really work with? So I think that where we're working to with Prism and Grow AI is a world in which you can ask and, ERP anything, but also you can generate screens based on the questions you're asking, right? So that's huge. I think that'll completely change the paradigm for ERP forever.
Wow.
And that's what we're working on. And then the second thing I would say is we are going to build a network that connects all the makers, movers, and sellers together to make better decisions by sharing data. That's a huge objective that we have, which is this idea that everyone can share data for the benefits, with each other. And we have the data model to do it. We now have the AI pieces in place. And so we are firmly a supply chain company, and I think that's where supply chain companies will need that flexibility. But it kind of goes back to, Evan, you mentioned, ecosystems and communities. I think everyone wants to be, every customer wants to be part of a community. They want to manage their data. They want to share when they get a benefit. And I think the more communities we can build, the more flat the world is, which is what we're really trying to get to.
Wow, such an exciting proposition. Amazing how you're not just helping your customers, but even their entire workforces and with their challenges and empowering them moving forward. Well, I know you're very busy right now. You're back on stage, I think, next. So thank you so much for taking the time to chat. And I look forward to following this journey you're on. It's quite impressive.
Absolutely. And we're happy to share updates later. And thank you for spending the time to learn about what we're doing in our corner of the world and what big impacts we're having with our customers.
Thank you. Fascinating chat. And everyone follow Epicor on social. They put out some great content. And have a great week.
Thank you, Evan. You too. Have a great day.
Take care, everyone. Thanks. Bye-bye.